This video is about multiplying and dividing negative numbers. In the previous video, we understood what negative numbers were and how to add and subtract negative numbers with positive and with other negative numbers as well. So this is a continuation of that video. There are key things about multiplying, dividing negative numbers. I'll show you this right now after I show you this problem. -4 times -2. Alright, the key thing is that when you're multiplying two negative numbers, you just have to focus on the number without the sign. So we have 4 over here and we have 2 over here. You multiply these two numbers first, alright, and here we get 8. Then we check the sign, and you probably heard the phrase two negatives make a positive, and when you multiply and divide, that always is true, always, no matter what. And right here we have one negative over here and one negative over here. So since there are two, it becomes positive 8. So the answer is 8. And that's it. Now what if we multiplied a positive number to a negative number? Let's say we had 4 times -5, which is the same thing as -5 times -4. This is very similar to how you have if you have 3 times 2, which is the same thing as 2 times 3. Alright, this will always remain constant with negative numbers when you're multiplying not when you're dividing, obviously. Alright, so let's try this. Now we do the same thing as we did in the last problem, and we actually got the numbers without the sign. Well, 4 over here is +4, but we don't need to show that the plus in front of it. We don't need to show it, but we can just. But for the sake of it, let me just show it's +4 over here. All right. So we have 5 and we have 4. All right, and 5 times 4 is 20. And now we look at the signs. We have one negative sign and one positive sign. And a positive and negative, the negative will always be dominant, no matter what. So it becomes -20. What if you multiply multiple numbers with each other? Let's say you have a big strand of -5 times -2 times -3. What if you have these numbers all the way here? Well, you take it step by step. We first do -5 times -2. This doesn't look good. -5 times -2. I'm not good at drawing boxes, apparently. So we do this, -5 times -2. We first take the 5 and 2, multiply 5 and 2, which is 10. And we see there are two signs, two negative signs, two negatives make a positive, so it becomes +10. And then we multiply 10 times -3 to show that this is +10. 10 and +10 are the same thing. As you can see this, just remember that. Alright. We isolate it from its sign, which means that ignore the signs and multiply. 3 times 10 equals 30, and we have the signs left over. And a negative and a positive, the negative will always be dominant, so it becomes -30. Well, this you can continue multiplying like this, and you'll have to keep on following the rules of multiplication. Division is exactly what you would think multiplication is, and dividing two negative numbers, which will be -10 divided by -5. Alright, we do what we did with the multiplication, and we first saw the numbers without the symbol, without the negative sign. And we have 10 and 5. So 10 divided by 5 is 2, and then we look at our signs. We have two negative signs. Two negatives make a positive, so the answer is +2. And even dividing a positive number from a negative number, with, let's say, 8 divided by -4, is the same thing how you do in multiplication. First we see the number without the sign, we divide it, so the answer becomes 2, and we see the signs, which is negative, and this is positive 8, by the way, so always remember that. And negative is always dominant when the other one is positive, okay? So it becomes negative 2. So continuous division is also the same. When you divide 8, oh, this doesn't look good at all. Let's divide 8 divided by negative 2 divided by negative 2. Actually, let me make this negative 8 divided by negative 2 divided by negative 2. Alright, let's try negative 8 divided by negative 2. That's what we gotta do first. Let me get rid of all this. Alright, first we look at the numbers. Negative 8 divided by negative 2 without their signs. So we look at 2 and we look at 8. So it's 8 divided by 2, which is 4. And then we look at our signs. 2 negatives makes a positive. So it's positive 4. Alright, now we divide positive 4 by negative 2. And we look at the number without its sign. And we get 2. And now we look at our signs. And I've said it before, a negative will always be dominant when the other one is a positive sign. So when you have a negative and a positive, the negative will always win. So it's negative 2. This is why I always think multiplying and dividing negative numbers is much more simpler than just adding and subtracting. Adding and subtracting two negatives is different from adding and subtracting is from a positive and a negative. It's just too different. You have to remember a lot of those stuff, and sometimes it just gets really confusing. And that's why I love multiplying and dividing much better. So that's basically it.